sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Our favorite time of the week, everybody. Hi, this is Mario Nunez seated alongside my broadcast partner,
Joe King Carter. Good afternoon.
He's always here, and he's always at the ready. Joe is never not ready. Isn't that right, Joe?
That's my one of my names.
That's never not
steady ready.
Joe doesn't have to get ready because he stays ready. If those of you that are athletes, and I'm talking to you, you don't have to get into shape if you stay in shape. You follow what I'm saying? We were talking about that before.
I'm always in training for life, and no doubt about that.
Welcome to the conversation on WMNF, WMNF.org. From anywhere in the world you happen to be listening. Just make a slight adjustment for the time zone changes. If you're over in Europe, it's going to be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Or if you're over in Hawaii, it's probably more like 8 o'clock in the morning. But here we are, just past noon on Wednesday, WMNF 88.5, community radio here in Tampa. Where do we meet every week, Joey?
We meet at the intersection of culture and community.
Or community and culture. And
either way.
Isn't that the greatest tagline ever?
Well, culture,
it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does feel good. I like talking about cultural stuff.
And this is a community radio station, and after all, we are one large community here in the Bay Area.
Yes.
Tampa being the epicenter. I'm sorry, we're broadcasting from Tampa, so if you happen to be in Sarasota or St. Pete, Clearwater, Lakeland, we hear you and we love you. But we're coming at you from Tampa.
And we talk about you, too.
Absolutely, we include you.
Yes.
And our guests are from all of the 7 counties that we broadcast from. Joey, just yesterday we had an election, special election.
Yes.
Can you comment on that as the only resident on the panel from District 5?
Well, I'm not surprised by the outcome. I'm not surprised by the 2 individuals that are going to now be in a runoff together. And it was a large group. I think there were
14
running for that office. And,
Thomas Scott and Naya, help me out, Joey.
Naya,
they're yelling at the radio right
Smith,
now. No, that's not.
I'm not grabbing it.
However,
you just said I was prepared.
Yeah, always prepared. I will say this: that out of a potential 40,000 registered voters in District 5, which, oh, by the way, is the largest district of the 7 districts in the city of Tampa, the largest district.
Yes.
You've got downtown Channelside, you've got Ybor City, you've got East Tampa.
Yes.
And you've got all the way up to Sulphur Springs and Seminole Heights. I mean,
it's a diverse district.
4,000 plus voted? What's that, 1 in 10? I think that there were some 7 or 8%.
Yeah.
Anyway,
early
come on,
voting
you guys.
was
Come on.
really down.
Come on, you guys. Listen, it's a representative government. We do it here locally like we do it in the state and like we do it nationally. And if you don't vote really and truthfully, you're doing yourself a great disservice because you're not letting your voice be heard. And then you have no reason to complain, right? I mean,
absolutely. Okay. And if either one of those individuals who are in the runoff prevails, it will probably be very healthy for District 5 because they're like everyone who ran, they are people who are concerned about the community and want to represent it. So
one male, one female,
stuff.
one male, one female, both African American, and you know what? It's reflective. It's reflective of the district, and we just wish them the best, and we hope for more of a turnout, perhaps. But the promise is probably it'll be less, right? Because less candidates and
maybe I'm not sure.
Okay,
it might be that people want to come out for the conflict and see who the winner is. We love winners, that's a big thing in our culture.
Are we still winning? Are we still winning nationally? We don't want to go there, Joey. We don't have time for that, Joey. So how was your week?
Oh, my week was, as always, lovely and wonderful.
Okay. Sometimes you use the adjective fabulous.
Fabulous.
But that's okay.
It's very fabulous.
We'll ring a bell for wonderful.
But I do want to say, I did notice this week. I was out in the world running errands, and I noticed the what seems like a much higher level of aggression on the highway than I've ever seen before. And I think that people are... This is my little take on life at the moment. People are stressed right now. We're stressed because of the political atmosphere. We're stressed because of the cultural atmosphere. We're stressed because technology is changing so rapidly that we can barely wrap our brains around it. And I think all of that is causing a kind of... I don't want to go to the word trauma, but it's
agita.
Yeah, it's stressful, I think, for individuals, and I think it's coming out in sort of passive aggressive ways with individuals. But folks, I want to remind you out there, to our listeners, please be kind to yourself right now. We're all under stress. This is a good time. Let me be Daddy Joe for the moment. This is a good time for you to eat properly, to get hydration, to get exercise, and to get plenty of good sleep, by the way, and as much as you can, because, it's not doing anyone any good for you to be so stressed that you're running yourself down. So take care of yourself before you take care of the resistance.
Wonderfully said, Joey. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
And as a former flight attendant, I can add to that saying that, when you're in a rapid decompression on the airplane, the first thing you're supposed to do is do what, Joey? You put your mask on.
That's right.
Because if you don't have oxygen, you can't help your neighbor.
That's correct.
So take care of yourself is what Joey's trying to say.
That's right.
Okay. Wonderful. There's your PSA, everybody. How you feeling out there? You feeling better about yourself now that we just gave you a little pep talk? And if not, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Let's go. We got a show today for you that's going to rock your world.
Yes, indeed.
Our guest in studio is no stranger to WMNF, WMNF.org. You can usually hear him with Franco Silva, and sometimes you can hear him right here on The Conversation. Today is no exception. Joey, introduced our guest.
Well, we have the notable Tampeño.
I like the way you said that. I wasn't expecting that, Joey.
Mike Beluha. I don't want to mess that up. There we go. Thank you. Welcome, Mike.
It's good to be here, Joe. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me, Mario. I appreciate it.
Come on, brother. Come on. We have a lot to talk about today.
I'm excited. I'm excited to introduce some of the new stuff and tell you a little bit of background behind it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's do this first.
By way of introduction, real quick, before you get to the good personal questions, Joey, Mike is, for those of us that know Mike and know him well, he's nothing if he's not Tampa's Poet Laureate. He's nothing if he's not one of the most creative individuals you want to meet in a quiet sort of, he moves through this time and this space with humility and always just doing the work, not seeking any kind of notoriety or any kind of limelight. But it seems to follow him because his work is so prodigious and his work is so valuable. So that's the setup. Mikey graduated 75 from Jesuit. We're going to get into that now.
Yes.
Ask those questions, Joey.
Well, let's
ask those questions.
Yeah, we almost consistently, always, we start, regardless of how renowned our guests are, we start with where were you born? Where were you born, Mike?
I was born at Gonzalez Clinic in Ybor City.
Ah, the famous Gonzalez.
La Clínica Gonzalez.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I've been born and raised in Tampa, so I've been here all my life, with the exception of a couple of months in L.A., a couple of months in Portland. Mm-hmm. But
so you grew up, which neighborhood did you grow up in?
West Tampa. I grew up on a street called Spruce Street. Between MacDill and Gomez. Mm-hmm. And that's where I lived all my adult life until I got married. And even when I got married, we lived across the street for a little while. Mm-hmm. And then we moved to a home that we bought nearby. They don't call it West Tampa, but I still call it West Tampa. It's on Cypress and Lincoln, down the street from Sons of Italy. So we stayed in the area.
For West Tampans, I wonder where West Tampa really ends. Because it goes almost everywhere, doesn't it? I mean, if you're out there, what they call, what do they call the area where your house was?
Well, technically, it was Broadmoor Park. If you go to the city books, the plat is Broadmoor Park. Now it's referred to as North Bon Air. It's just west of Dale Mabry. But West Tampa does creep now. It creeps.
That's what I'm saying.
It goes from WTVT Channel 13 studios right there, Kennedy, all the way really kind of almost to what old-timers will refer to as Buffalo Avenue, which is Martin Luther King today. It wasn't always that big. Because it stopped at some point at Columbus Drive, and then it went further north to Tampa Bay, and then ultimately... And it goes from the river, from the river all the way to Dale Mabry. That's a big swath.
That's right. And what today we are, in part of the reason that Mike is here is because we are, all of us at MNF are working our shows toward our mission, monthly mission statement, which is Latin heritage.
That's right.
And I can tell you as an Anglo who moved to Tampa when I was 20 years old, I thought that every single person in Tampa was Latino. I mean, it was just amazing to me to bump into that culture so strong and so consistent and so omnipresent everywhere. It really did. It really had a huge impact.
At that point, it was still pretty dense. And we talk about it all the time, and you as a lay historian, and Mikey writes about it because his songs are all dedicated to that history. At one point, that's all it was, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 9 out of 10 people you met were either Italian descent, Sicilian specifically, or Spaniard, or Cuban.
In my hometown, my high school graduating class, there was one kid, Homer, who was his mother was Mexican, and that was the only even Hispanic person in the entire community that I ever knew. I never knew a single Hispanic person growing up in Bradenton.
And then welcome to Ybor City, brother.
And then I came here, and the world began to shift in a beautiful way.
In a good way, yes, of course. So, Mike, continue.
Where did you go to school?
I started off at Mother Goose. That was which is historic
absolutely.
in itself. It's still there.
How many people are nodding affectionately at the camera, at the radio right now, saying, "I went there, I went there."
I still know probably about maybe 12 people that went to school with me over there. From there, I ended up at McFarland Park, and then they divided McFarland Park into first, second, third, and then we had to go to Cuesta, which is no longer there, but that was a famous
third
school.
through sixth,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, third through sixth, and then we had an incident, I guess, '69 with the riots. It was tough. It was
68 after the Martin Luther King assassination.
Yeah, and we lost about 2 or 3 weeks of school in public school. That year, my father decided, that he was going to put me in St. Joseph the next year, and that's where I went to finish off middle school. I went to 7th and 8th grade in St. Joseph, and that's what led me to Jesuit. And I graduated from Jesuit at 75, and then from there I went to USF. So I stayed in Tampa the whole time.
Brother, you never left.
Yeah, no.
As your songs reflect, you never left.
And those
the
Jesuit,
home from which I never roamed.
Those Jesuit folks, they stand out, don't they?
They stand out and they stay together.
You get a great education there, don't you?
We just the last time I was on Franco's show was in May. He allowed me to come in and really talk about the 50-year reunion and some of the prominent Jesuit graduates from my class, from just Jesuit High School in Tampa. We talked about the upcoming reunion, which was on May 31st. It was a pretty popular show. A lot of calls at night.
Right.
And you're right. There's the Jesuit is known for producing some big names, good people.
A good friend of yours and a dear friend of ours, Captain Tony Alfonso, graduated in your class in 1975.
Tony, a dear friend of mine.
Absolutely.
Dear friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man.
Yes,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, I love Tony.
Yeah. So you then you went to USF.
Went to USF. I studied mass communications over there, and I didn't get in. I floundered for the first couple of years. Wasn't sure what I was going to get into, but then I began to write. And I began to write, songs, and that got me into a creative flair. So that's when I decided to take advertising, mass media advertising, and that's what I went for, advertising. In the mass communications department, they had about 5 different sections: PR, advertising, photojournalism, marketing. But I went with advertising.
Now let's linger on this a little bit. You said I began to write. Tell me a little bit more about that. Did you? I'm imagining for a lot of people it is I must write. Did it come out of you? How did you? Why did you embrace writing?
I've always embraced the guitar since I was a kid, whether it was drums or guitar, and I ended up with a guitar. Began to play again. I dropped it. Began to play again in high school, and I would play from books, song books, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, whatever. And little by little, I started listening to some writers that I really liked a lot, like Bruce Springsteen, Van Morrison, Tom Petty. And sooner or later, I picked up the pen and started trying.
But being a creative person is a little different than being a technician. So let me just say this. There are many musicians who are incredible musicians who've never written a note.
You're right.
Or have ever written a lyric. So I know
a few.
Yeah, and so what I'm interested in is, this just sort of, you felt like this was something you needed to do, to write?
Listen, it was...
He couldn't help himself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The creative process.
Right.
Listen, I'm a deeply religious person or spiritual person.
Okay.
So I believe that God led me to this, and that's his way of me getting
giving you a sense of purpose.
Yeah, what really, it's been through his direction, through his motivation, and that's the way I feel about it. And I haven't looked back since. I mean, I began writing. I was writing spiritual stuff and faith-based stuff before I even knew that I was writing it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's only over the past decade or so that I've come
intentionally.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
The reason I ask that question is because, and I can run with your answer, is that when I hear people that we all know, people like Willie Nelson or whoever they may be, when they talk about writing, it always seems somehow, what is the word I'm looking for? Or divinely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Inspired. Not to give it necessarily. I'm not giving Willie Nelson a religious a doorway to walk through. But when he talks about that famous week he drove from Texas to Nashville, where he wrote 3 of his greatest songs while he was driving a car, and he talks about it like he said, they just came to me as easily as anything. So I find that amazing. Songwriters, I find it very interesting how that works.
Yeah, I've experienced it myself. I mean, sometimes I have to struggle to find the right words. But sometimes I have written songs in a period of 15 minutes, and they've been good songs. They've been some of my best,
Wow.
And others, and to be honest, others are a perpetual work. Okay, I am still refining songs that I wrote when I was 17 years old.
Okay,
I will always find another way to do it, another word to say in a certain place, and so I'll have ultimately 15, 20 versions of every song of mine because I have to fit those ideas in, and I want to play them out.
It's always an evolution. The process, I think, is always evolving as you change, as we change as people. Get older, whatever, our experiences change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that kind of speaks to the divine inspiration, doesn't it? Because when some songs probably, I mean, I'm an artist, so I understand the creative process, but I'm a visual artist. But the point is, some songs probably come out of you, and you go, that's finished, that's done. I don't have to touch it again, right?
Yeah, but sometimes
sometimes you get it down.
Sometimes not.
You get another idea, and you say, "Well, I want to add to it." I want to add. Yeah,
it's the ultimate stew.
Tweaking.
It's the ultimate guiso. It's the
not
ultimate
twerking, but tweaking.
It's the ultimate stew. You know what I mean? You've got the base, and you go, "This is delicious." I wonder what it would taste like if I add cumin. I wonder what it would taste like if I just go a little heavier with the garlic.
Yes,
I don't know.
Nothing is ever finalized in my life. Nothing.
Right. It's always evolving because your palate changes.
Yeah.
So you come out of USF and you're doing marketing.
Well, actually, I wasn't doing marketing.
Where'd you work? Tell us where you worked. I know the story. Tell us where you worked.
If you try to get out of USF with a marketing degree and you haven't been in the business, you're going to have to start at some lower level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you're not going to go in there and say, well, I want to be a copywriter and become a copywriter.
Right.
Because you got a lot of guys waiting in line. And that's what happened to me. In fact, I went to work as a gopher, for Louis Bonito Advertising, the premier agency in Tampa at the time, which a lot of agencies and a lot of big names came out of Louis Bonito and started their own businesses, started their own thing, and that was a good guy. Louis Bonito was a prime mentor in my life. Okay, he knew how to be successful, but he also knew how to be good to people, and he was good to his employees. He was good to his friends, everybody. But anyway, I started there. I would deliver to different places, and whether it was artwork or tapes or videotapes, things like that. There was an opening a year after I was there. Okay, dig this. There was an opening for a copywriter, and I asked if I could be considered for that. And believe it or not, the guy who beat me on that effort was a guy named Cameron Dilley. Okay,
we're familiar with that name here. Are we not familiar with that name?
All right, Cameron.
Is it a small
Cam, are
world?
your ears burning? Are your ears burning, Cam?
Could talk about going back to the beginning, man. And he was one of the founders of this particular station.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely,
so we go back a long way.
Yeah,
there's one of these studios is named in his honor for sure. For sure.
So I lost that opportunity, but at that time I wasn't discouraged. I just wanted to do something else, so I moved on, and I ended up traveling to California for the first time. And I stayed there with a friend of mine in California who is still friends today. In fact, she posted a picture that I took with some mountainous area of California today, just out of,
coincidence.
Yeah, out of coincidence.
Right.
From there, I moved to Portland, Oregon. And I spent some time there back when Quarter Flash was popular. And,
wow.
And you probably remember,
I remember Quarter Flash,
okay,
absolutely.
Which they were popular in Portland area, and grunge was beginning.
Yes.
And so I lived in downtown Portland, which was a city that was advanced at that time, far ahead of their time as far as
a simple yet progressive groove.
Definitely. Over there, you could feel it. And the city was, I lived there for a little while. Actually, I lived there when two great disasters happened.
Mount St. Helens,
and same time frame. I looked at
Why am I not remembering?
I looked at the newsstands. I looked at the newspaper one day and I said, man, that looks like the Skyway Bridge.
Oh, May of 80.
Yes. Yeah. It was a Skyway Bridge, the disaster.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But,
I was thinking it was in Oregon, but no, if you had said, here for sure.
No, it was
May 25th, por ahí, around.
I don't remember the exact date, but
around Memorial Day.
But I do remember the ashes falling in Portland, and you'd have to wear. We were wearing masks long before the COVID.
We knew what mask was, the COVID masks.
We'd have to wear the
Mount St. Helens was having that much of an impact on Portland.
Well, you could actually go to the Washington Bridge in Portland, and you could look in the distance and see the
stack.
The plume, and when you flew over
it
later, you could see where the whole half of that mountain had been sheared off.
They had a couple of diehards that said, no, we ain't moving, but they lost their lives. So one of them was a guy named, believe it or not, Harry Truman. I remember that name.
You're not going to forget that name.
He decided he was going to stay on.
I remember that now. Yes, he was interviewed. Saying I'm not leaving. Yeah. Wow, amazing.
And I love those pictures. By the way, the pictures of you, and I don't know whether they were professionally taken and you set those up, or they were just. One of those moments that you captured in time. Yeah. But you had your suitcase, man. You look like a traveling man. You had your cap. You had
leather jacket.
Your leather jacket. Well, your guitar case.
Listen,
you look like you were ready.
I had already read the Dylan book where he goes. Goes out and takes on the persona.
Yep.
I saw it with Springsteen.
Your beard. You had your beard.
I love Lou Reed. I love the leather jacket look. I love the jeans. I love the boots. That whole 9 yards. That was me.
Tall and slim. Time. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. Singer-songwriter.
That's right. Right. Mike Baluha.
So, but what were you doing in Portland? Were you being a singer-songwriter?
Well, in California, I was visiting open mics, the Blah Blah Cafe, the Improv, and I would stay and I do the. For some reason, a friend of mine called me and said, why don't you come over here? The music scene's pretty good, and I got a place to stay. And the free spirit that I was at that time,
sure,
which was killing my parents because you know how that is. I mean, they were lamenting. They said, "Man, he's out there nowhere,
long way from home."
And but I didn't see it. I didn't see the peril. I didn't see anything. I just saw
adventure.
Yeah, and so
an opportunity.
I went there, and I was I'm not sure if it was a good or bad move. It was a move I made. It was in the heart of the city. I was living in a hotel. It was a little bit decadent, to tell you the truth. Okay,
as it sometimes inner cities might be.
It was
back then.
It was like that. Even though Portland was advanced and there were nice areas, but it was a little bit. The hotel I was in was a little seedy.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
but I met some good people there,
and you could afford it probably.
And I wrote some good songs in that hotel room.
There you go. Songs that you remember to this day that you still have in your library,
in your
catalog,
and re-recording. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we're just about at the bottom of the hour, and what we do here at the bottom of the hour is something we do each week. We give you a little station ID. We give you a little ID for the show, and then when we come back, we remind you who we're talking with, and at the same time, we're going to open up the phone lines. Listen, stay tuned. We've got some music we're going to get to here in just a few minutes. And we're going to give you a taste here coming up shortly.
Hi, I'm Georgia Vahue, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM in Tampa.
The great Georgia.
That's right.
Vahue.
Thank you, Georgia.
Wasn't that a wonderful interview last week?
Interview.
We encourage everybody to take a minute, go to WMNF.org, seek out the conversation, and you can listen to all of our shows, each and every one special in their own way.
All available in archive, folks.
Last week's was no exception because Georgia's another Tampa native of note. We credit her with being a Tampa native. She got here at 5 years old, and she never left. And she contributed mightily.
I didn't know that all the shows were still on archive. I thought it was just the current week.
No, all of them. Our shows, all public affairs shows remain.
I didn't know that.
So you can find each and every one of them there. And Joey and I promise to do a better job of highlighting them and writing a little bio on them because our weeks go by so fast that sometimes we don't get a chance to.
You know what I'm saying? Listen to the show.
Listen to the show or just
by the way, you
go back and click on any one of those shows.
Yeah, you're doing your thing in the house, mopping the floor, put a show on. Listen to us.
So Mike, let's bring this. Well, we should mention we'll come back around to the family. We want to talk about your family. Certainly, mention wife and children and so forth and grandchildren. But in interest, the time remaining, let's go ahead and ramp up and get right around to I Remember Tampa, the way she used to be, and tell us how that got started.
Well, a couple of months ago, a friend of mine sent me a link to an AI program called MakeSong.com. And, you know, I've never tampered with it before. And I know it's a controversial issue amongst writers, studio people, artists, everybody. I know, I get it, okay? It can take away jobs. It's not real. It's not soulful. It's a lot of negatives, okay? Mm-hmm. But I've tampered with it, and I've been experimenting with it, and I've submerged myself into it for a few months. Some of the products, some of the songs, some of the things that it comes out with are unbelievable, okay? So I began to run songs of mine that I have written in 1983 through it. And I get a chance to hear them as if I was hiring a professional band with a polished producer, the
72 channel mixer,
state-of-the-art studio, the best musicians that you can get, and hear how it comes out, you know. And yes, it's not exactly my melody, it's not my vocals, it's not my instrumentation, but it's my song, and it's my words, and it's my soul, and I put it through, and I generate maybe 20 copies. They're not all good, but there's that one.
But you get to pick and choose.
Oh my God!
You get to pick and choose. So you sit as the ultimate producer, and you get to. So let's talk about.
Ultimately, that was going to come around to the Tampa theme songs,
there you go.
And that's where we come in.
And I can say this because we've been working together and collaborating together for years now, 10 almost, and beyond that. The song I Remember Tampa is the theme song to the Tampa Native Show, which is still in production to this day. Tampa Bay Community Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. It started at Tampa Bay Community Network, and that's how long we've been together. And the inspiration for the song,
it came from the show.
It came from the show.
It was the first year, if you remember, I did the opening credits,
which was fabulous. You know, we should go back to that, by the way.
I did the opening credits as far as making them a polished look that you could have the show introduce and end with. At that point, you know, came the inspiration for the words in the song. And so that second season, we did the song. And we used it, and we haven't looked back since.
Well, we're going to play for you now. We're going to play for you the version that Mike put through this Make Song AI application. This is going to encourage you then to go back and listen to the original song, which Mike will tell you how to...
The originals are good, and I have many versions of the original. I have 7 or 8 different versions of that I Remember Tampa. This is just another take on it.
And this one, I'll say this before we... Well, maybe I'll wait till we come back afterwards. Let's hear the song first.
Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, those precious memories. A city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. Walking through McFarlane Park, beneath the moss-filled trees, children riding bike till dark, cutting through the tropic breeze. I remember Tampa, those sweet soft memories, the city that I call my home, the home from which I'll never roam. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. I'm a Tampa native, everything seemed new. We used to have a lot of fun, no matter what we do. Sleepy days, hot summer nights, going anywhere we pleased. With love that I could call my own, a love that I have always known. The city that I call my home, the home from which I'll never roam. This love affair was meant to be. I love her and she loves me. Yes, I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember Tampa. She remembers me.
I'm breathless.
Yeah,
that is spectacular and scarier than all get out, because Mikey, you just put in the sentiment, you put in the words, you put in the rhythm that you want, the feel that you wanted, the vibe, if you will, and in about 2.5 seconds,
About 2 minutes. About 2 minutes.
2 minutes to spit that out. And you made a note to me while the song was playing, and you said on the note you handwritten, and you showed it to me, you said the accent. Yeah. That's how nuanced this artificial intelligence is. You told it that you wanted it a Latin flavor, and the singer, who is computer generated, had an accent.
I use this comparison constantly. It's frightening and enlightening simultaneously. It's unbelievable what it can do.
And how we manage that is going to tell our future, right?
Yeah. You know, and the thing is, it's here. It's here to stay. There's no avoiding it. Use it for good, not for evil, and we'll be all right. You know, but the problem is that we do. You know, we have a tendency as a human race to do some bad things too.
Well, you know, this is a discussion that's a big discussion in the visual arts world.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been a huge discussion about cinematography. My friends who are painters, there are purists.
Yes.
Our friend Mike Knapp, who was on the show, he will discuss this sometimes on one of his pages. That you know, there are people that believe that if you use a slide projector or an overhead projector or any mechanical means to create an image on a canvas, that you have somehow been inauthentic, which I think is just doesn't hold up, because any tool is a tool that gets you to your
final destination, right?
Is important. And by the way, as a species, we're tool makers. We're not going to resist tools. We're going to use tools.
I have to compete with the best out there to get heard. Okay,
right.
And there's people out there with a polished sound that I could never afford to do. I could never afford to get. And I tell you what, I have never had a producer or a professional musician or anybody come up to me and say, "Hey, Mike, I like what you're doing. Let's go in the studio. Let's cover this. Let's do it." No.
Right.
I have to find my own way. So as a result, I've used technology throughout the years, whether it be in loops and samples and beats to enhance the sound.
Right.
Even synthesizers before. I mean, synthesizers.
As we talked about before the show.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
drum machines.
I didn't have horns, so you use synthesizers to create the horns. You know?
Right. Absolutely.
It's been
technology is always going to advance the story. Yeah. It's how we manage the technology, and this is, in a word, I think this is delicious. This song I had, and not just because I'm from Tampa, I'm a Tampa native, and the Tampa Native Show, and all that means. But if and you don't have to be Latino to feel this music.
And the funny thing is, that's just one of the versions.
Yeah.
There are several others of the same song that are very attractive.
We're going to get to one of those in just a couple of minutes, but I want to also throw out the phone number now in case you want to just comment about the song that you just heard. You want to say hello to Mike. You want to talk a little bit about AI. 813-239-9663 is the number to join us here on The Conversation. 813-433-0885 if you'd like to send us a text. Emails are always welcome. Jessica's standing by. She'll read your email for you. dj@wmnf.org. I just find it incredibly enriching, I guess, is the only way, because those of us that are sitting on this dais right now, sitting in the studio, we're going to gravitate towards the good. You know, we shine our light bright, and we're going to always feel AI and all of its positive intentions. And that's what you've created here, Mike.
That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to deceive anybody. I'm not trying to put off like I'm a virtuoso of any kind. I'm just trying to enhance the music, make it the best possible product that it can be.
And I can see where it would be easy to at some point want to be apologetic somehow for that, and I think you should not be.
I've had a tough
I'm sure
time
you have, because you're
trying to put this out there, because I've been apprehensive about it. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but in the same breath, I can hardly contain myself.
Right.
It's such a beautiful
It's
sound.
very exciting, and I think that you should, what I would say to you is, run with it, brother.
Well, if you listen, Mike, you know, let's talk a little. Let's use a baseball analogy. Joey, hang with us for a minute, Joey. And if this works for you, jump in. Okay. But let's just say that, you know, you could time travel a little bit, and you go back to the 1940s when they were using those 5-finger gloves, and all of a sudden you show up with a Rawlings Heart of the Hydra, a Wilson A2000, and you know these guys are looking at you like, well, where did he get that from? You know, that's kind of crazy technology. I don't know about that glove or a bat. Or a pair of spikes.
You'll never find me using one of those.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Of course you're going to use it. Why? Right. Because it's the best thing available. Yeah. You're going to use it. Yeah. We just have to use it with intention. That's all. I mean,
well, the discussion about AI is a whole nother level of. I mean, we're talking about AI at the level of taking over the world, right? Yeah. I mean, all of this conversation you hear on in all of the places you're hearing is it's an intense conversation.
It is,
and I think people need to be thinking a lot about it.
The copyright organizations don't know how to handle this right now.
Yeah, legal's got to be going nuts.
You know,
Legal has to be.
CD Baby, DistroKid, people that you normally put your music out on, they don't know whether to accept the AI music or not, because the AI generator sometimes could make a mistake and pull it out of somebody it's a sound that's very close to something else. And
that's when you have litigation.
I can see where the copyright issues might, you know, come into play. But, you know, ideas are regenerated throughout the generations. Throughout every generation, we do the same ideas again and again. There are few original artists out there, you know, like Steely Dan, something like that, where you haven't heard that sound before.
Right.
You know, most of the stuff. Van Morrison is a classic example. I mean, you've heard his songs. Everybody does something like Van Morrison does, and he does it, but he does it better than everybody else.
If you happen to listen to Sirius Radio, and I have that now in my vehicle, and it's been wonderful, because you really get a good sampling and you get a lot of different variations. But I've been mostly the last couple of weeks listening to Solid Gold 60s. So it's the music from the 60s. Born in 58, Mikey, you were born in 57, Joey, born in 54. Mm-hmm. So we all remember the 60s and the music of the 60s, and it's. You know, if you listen to the songs and you realize there's a core rhythm here, there's a core beat that all of these guys, whether it was the Dave Clark Five or Hermits or the Beatles, they were all kind of sitting in that syncopated rhythm. And then, of course, the lyrics were different for the songs. But you're right. It's all kind of the same.
And what you will find from time to time is an artist will come out and simulate that sound from the 60s. And you say, hey, it's brand new. It's
not.
No, it's not.
It's revisited.
And you hear that soulful sound, and I can't remember the name of the band that I'm thinking of right now, but it sounds like something that you would hear, you know, in the 60s, you know, and it sounds beautiful, but it's definitely a take on that, you know. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think hemlines go up and down, and bell bottoms go, you know, get narrower and wider. But you can't reinvent that.
They're all tools. They're all just tools, and ultimately, you're the creator. And my take on this is that the final piece that you create is it has your stamp on it.
Yeah,
and
that's
all that matters.
I've become more of a creative director in this process. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A producer, a creative director. And as I said, I'm generating multiple copies, and I'm waiting for the best one that I can possibly get. And sometimes I have to tweak it anyway because it doesn't pronounce a word correctly or something. Mm-hmm. So I spend some time in getting it perfect. But bottom line is, they're my lyrics. And in all honesty, if I ran a couple of suggestive phrases through it, it'd probably write the song better than I could. But the only link that I have to it spiritually.
Giving it soul. Yeah, giving it that soul.
Is those lyrics, yeah.
Right.
Listen, we've got a caller here we're going to go to, and when we come back from the caller, I want to ask you how much fun are you having doing this, Mike? Because it sounds to me like you can get lost in the laboratory for a few days. Let's go to Mike in Sarasota. Mike, you're on the air.
Hey, thank you very much for asking people to ask questions about artificial intelligence. Here's my thought. Your guest on this show used artificial intelligence to create some music. Now, that artificial intelligence, which Noam Chomsky says is just basically plagiarism software, it went out and it used as source material music from actual human beings, actual drummers, actual horn players, actual bass players, and he's come up with a good-sounding song. But let's look in the future. Let's say that other artists begin to do the same thing. They begin to use artificial intelligence, and they get rid of all the live musicians, and they just use what artificial intelligence is drawn from other musicians in the past. So in the future, when someone goes to use artificial intelligence, it's going to start using artificial intelligence-generated music as its source material. And so what we'll have is music not based on natural sources, but very distantly. It'll be increasingly based on artificial sources on and on in the future. And I just want you all to think about the implications of that, where music could actually go.
Thanks for your call, Mike. We know that you've called before, Mike in Sarasota, and we do appreciate the comment. He makes a good point.
Definitely, and you know, I started off the conversation with that. Again, I'm not trying to infringe on anybody's territory, but for me, as primarily a writer, it gives me an opportunity to listen to those professional musicians backing my stuff, a professional singer backing my stuff, doing it their way, in a way that I couldn't afford to do ever.
Never,
you know, so. There's still going to be a market for those geniuses and those very talented musicians. They're going to be doing their thing, and they're going to be creating new ideas and new concepts. And yes, AI will be taking some of those ideas and implementing it into their system. But I don't regret, you know, creating with it. You know, as I said, I've got to be logical about it, and as long as I'm transparent about it, that's the main thing right now.
So you get, you know, when the original iteration of Play-Doh, what we have come to know as Play-Doh, was a kind of clay that was used back in the 1930s to remove soot from the walls of apartments and homes, because at that time everybody was burning coal. And then and so they realized that, you know, it had a tactile feel to it. The kids liked to play with it. They added color to it. And my point is, and then at 30, 40 years worth of technology, that's synthesized now. So now the clay is even different. But the original idea, you see where I'm going with this? The materials are always going to change. Same in your world, Joey, with brushes or the oils or the paints that you're using.
Right.
The things will always evolve. I know Jessica's got an email for us that she'd like to read. Jess, what do you got?
So Karen in Dunedin says, believes that a lot of people will be going out of work because of AI, and so that it will do more harm than good unless the minimum wage is raised or job shares or more equitable.
We don't disagree with that in theory, but we just know that, you know, robotics is also taking over. So what are we going to do about robotics?
Listen, I'm in the courier business. That's what supported.
Talk about that for a minute.
That's what supported my music for the past 25, 30 years, okay? Technology has rendered me a dinosaur, okay? The products that I used to deliver, like videotapes, mechanical artwork, typography, there's not even typographers anymore. It happens. That's life. There's nothing, you know, AI is going to be here. I understand it's going to take some jobs, some producers' jobs, some musicians' jobs, but it's not going to stop creativity. And it's not going to, it's going to be, that creative process is still going to be intact, and you're going to be hearing a good song is a good song. Okay, whether it's created with AI or in any other way. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just say to Mike in Sarasota.
Sarasota.
I think it was a very cogent observation you made, Mike. And I think he's correct in many ways. And I think that music could, at some level, become AI. Feeding off of AI could be, if you will, inbred a little bit. I think that's possible. I think that what we're seeing here, my overview of this as a person who's a history buff, is that the historical moment is always this: that change brings the positive and the negative. It always does. The automobile put an entire industry of carriages and horses and horse-drawn wagons out of business. There was an entire industry of guys who scooped up horse manure on the streets of New York City who didn't have to scoop up horse manure anymore. I mean, imagine that level of industry. It was everywhere. People don't think about this.
Listen, also, excuse me for interjecting, but we're just dealing with regular AI right now. Right. Around the corner is super intelligence, super AI.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to see cures to diseases that we can't even conceive of right now.
Correct.
Okay? That can't be a bad thing.
No, never, not never.
I think what it might do, though, is force changes upon us that we're uncomfortable with. And I think this idea of unemployment, it's
so they need to retrain and retool.
It's an issue, and maybe those individuals will move into some other area that we don't understand yet.
Callers, we see you there. We're going to come to you now with about 7-8 minutes in show. So be brief if you have a statement or a question. And Josh in Clearwater, we see you there. What say you, sir?
I'll just make 2 quick comments. First of all, I loved your comment at the beginning of the show about in these times, you got to take care of yourself before you can help the revolution. I completely agree with that right now. And my other comment was just real quick, AI or no AI. I play guitar, and if you think about it, there's only so many chords, and there's so many songs you can play with a couple of chords. So AI or no AI, I always think there's going to be some copying no matter what, because you're playing in a key or he's playing the bass or whatever it is.
Spoken like a musician, Josh.
Absolutely.
So your musicianship is showing.
Listen, the blues are the blues are the blues. Okay?
Correct.
Bolero's a bolero. Salsa. It's not going to, reggae's reggae.
Yep.
There's only so many ways you can do it.
On the money, Josh.
I also just wanted to say that I know your show's a little newer to WNF, and I find myself tuning in. I'm always very interested in what you guys bring on the air and the people that you have and the gentlemen today that you had. Nice show. Thanks, guys.
No, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Those are kind words.
Kind words and inspiring words, because, we don't know exactly all the time. We know sometimes when we leave the studio, wow, that was a pretty good show. But we don't know necessarily if it's being received in the community. When we get calls like yours, it's very inspiring. So thank you very much for your comment.
Thanks, Josh.
Let's go real quick to Rachel in Bradentown. Rachel, what say you?
I'm a huge fan of music, and I understand that musicians who cannot afford backup and other human beings to help make their music, but I think that it's a slippery slope, and I do believe AI can create new and interesting things, but I am more interested in the things that human beings can create musically. Now, I do understand that AI can help us, like you said earlier, cure diseases, but we have to be very, very careful about how it's used. And I also appreciate, I didn't catch the name of the musician that you have on there. I appreciate that he reveals he has used AI because that's authentic to his music. And it's when people don't reveal that they're using AI that I feel it corrupts the creative process.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. We're up against the clock, Rachel. But thank you for your call, for your commentary today. And hearing you say that brings Milli Vanilli to mind.
No,
that's another story.
It happens a lot. And in fact, I just read about that the other day. There's some AI band that came out on Spotify that just, fooled everybody. And they got 1 million followers and 1 million listeners. And it's just incredible.
What's next for Mike Baluja? Because we want to end the show with the chill version of I Remember Tampa.
I have not abandoned the organic writing and the organic. I still love to get on my guitar, make mistakes, play the song in its gritty originality. And I love that. But right now, I'm in this phase, and I'm producing as much as I can. It's out there on a site. I don't use my name because I don't want my name to be associated with this particular phase of my writing. I use an identity called We Live by Faith, all in small letters except for the AI is capitalized in faith. And that's to signify the merger of technology and faith. And it's YouTube, We Live by Faith. All the stuff's on there.
Look for that. Look for that.
If
folks.
you could, Jess, take us out now with the chill version of I Remember Tampa, which is song number?
Not number one.
Number one. And then when it's appropriate, Jess, go ahead and give us the station ID. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We are so pleased that you're out there listening to us each and every week. This is I Remember Tampa, Mike Baluha created. Thank you, Mike, for being here today.
A pleasure.
Got it, Jess? No, that's okay. When you find it, you just play it. In the meantime, I'll say this.
And we might say this is the non-AI.
Yeah, no, this is us.
No,
this is us. This is analog. Jess is trying to find the CD. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Joel, Jess is, I mean, it's song number 4? Song number 1?
No, that's AI.
No, but I'm saying, what song on the CD is it? Number one?
Number one.
Okay,
yeah.
Jess, song number 1. Mikey, how good would the salsa version of I Remember Tampa that we were listening to with our eyes closed dancing in our minds?
I mean,
how about 2 professional salsa dancers doing an incredible routine to that song? Then you have the visual component to go with it.
Yeah.
Huh? And if AI is on its game, it'll do that too.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
You got it, Jess? Here we go.
Sorry.
No. Here we go. Enjoy this, everybody. And we'll see you next week on the radio.
Keep talking. I'm sorry.
Well, I can keep talking. That's not a problem.
Maybe it's not meant to be.
No. We've got 3 minutes. We're going to get this in. As a phone call comes in now. They always come in at the last second. Joey, isn't that true?
Yep.
Here we go. Yeah, Mikey. So shall I break the story now? Are you familiar with Dr. Reynolds?
All right. She gotta love it, baby.
I remember Tampa, the way she treated me, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa. What precious memories. A city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. She remembers me strolling down the river walk amid the tropic breeze. People playing after dark, footloose, fancy free. I remember Tampa, her sweet, soft way with me. A beauty, hers and hers alone, aim to make you feel at home. I remember Tampa, yeah, and she remembers me. She remembers me. I'm in love with Tampa. Well, I love this city, can't you see? I will share her story with you, what is and was and what will be. I'm in love with Tampa. I sure love this city, yes I do. Seen a lot.
We love live radio. Take care, folks. This is WMNF Tampa.